Let me tell you something most people never figure out. Life does not hand you success. It hands you experience. What you do with that experience. That is the whole game. Same job, same year, same 12 months, same hours in the day. One person walks away with nothing to show for it. Another person walks away sharper, stronger, more dangerous in the best sense of the word. Same year, different result. Why? Because one of them was paying attention, and the other one was just getting through the week. Think about two people who both went through a hard year. Lost a job, went through a breakup, watched a plan fall apart. Does not matter what it was. One of them comes out the other side bitter, guarded, convinced life is just unfair. The other one comes out sharper, more prepared. Almost like they went to a school nobody else could see. Same event. Two completely different outcomes. The difference was never the event. It was what they did with it afterward. This shows up everywhere once you start looking for it. Two coworkers get passed over for the same promotion. Two students get the same disappointing grade. Two entrepreneurs watch a launch fall flat. In every case, the outcome 6 months later has almost nothing to do with what happened, and everything to do with what each person chose to do with it afterward. So here is what I want to give you today. 7 habits, 7 moves. If you actually do these, not just nod along, but do them, you will outdevelop almost everyone around you. Not because you are smarter, because you are paying attention while they are sleepwalking through their own life. Stick with me for the next 15 minutes. This is going to be worth more than most people learn in a year. And before we get into the list, I want you to notice something. None of what I am about to give you requires more money, more time, or more talent than you already have. Every single one of these habits is available to you starting today, in your current situation, with the life you already have in front of you. That is actually the good news hiding inside all of this. You do not need permission. You do not need a better starting point. And you do not need to wait for some future version of yourself to begin. You can start with the very next thing that happens to you today. Habit 1. Stop numbing yourself to your own life here is what happens to most people. Something great happens. A win, a compliment, a breakthrough. And they give it about 90 seconds before they are back on their phone. Something hard happens. A loss, an insult, a failure, and they rush to bury it, distract themselves, move on as fast as possible. Both of those are mistakes. If you numb yourself to the bad stuff, you also numb yourself to the good stuff. You cannot selectively shut off pain without also shutting off joy. It is the same nerve. You want to feel alive? You have to actually let life reach you. Think about the last time something really good happened to you. Did you let yourself enjoy it? Or did you immediately start worrying about what comes next? A lot of people cannot even sit in a good moment for more than a few seconds before their brain drags them back into stress. And if that is you, it is worth noticing, because that same instinct is probably also making you rush past your hardest moments without learning anything from them either. So when something happens, good or bad, I want you to stop for 10 seconds and actually let it land, not spiral on it. Not perform an emotion for social media. Just actually notice, this happened and it mattered. Because here is the truth. You cannot hand someone something you never picked up yourself. You cannot inspire your kid, your team, your customer if you've spent your whole life avoiding being moved by anything. People can tell. Hollow people build hollow things. The most convincing people you'll ever meet are not the ones with the best vocabulary. They are the ones who have actually been somewhere, who've actually felt something, and it shows up in how they talk, how they lead, how they show up for other people. You cannot fake that. You can only earn it by actually letting your own life touch you. This is not just theory either. Think about anyone you'd call resilient, someone who has been through real difficulty and came out steadier, not more bitter. Almost every time, if you actually ask them how they got there, it was not a secret trick. It was that they let the hard thing actually affect them, sat with it honestly instead of numbing it away, and let it change how they showed up afterward. That is the whole mechanism. It is not complicated. It is just uncomfortable, which is exactly why most people avoid it. Habit 2. Build a rhythm of looking back. This is the one almost nobody does. And it is the one that compounds the fastest, not journaling for the sake of journaling. A real rhythm at the end of each day, 5 minutes. What actually happened today? Who did I talk to? What did I learn? What would I do differently tomorrow? At the end of each week, 30 minutes. What moved forward? What stalled? What pattern am I starting to notice? At the end of each month, an hour, alone, no phone. Go back over the whole month. The wins, the losses, the conversations that mattered. What is this month trying to teach me? Here is why this matters so much. Your past is not just memories, it is currency. It is raw material you can spend on your future, but only if you actually go back and collect it. Most people let entire years slide by ungathered. No wonder they feel like they are not growing. They are not reviewing anything. They are just accumulating days, not lessons. Picture two people 5 years from now. One of them has been quietly reviewing their weeks and months this whole time, catching their own patterns, correcting course early, learning from small mistakes before they become big ones. The other one has just been living day to day, hoping things work out. 5 years later, one of them has a 5-year head start on themselves. The other one is basically starting over, because none of that experience ever got collected into anything useful. This is the cheapest form of self-improvement that exists, and almost nobody does it consistently. It costs you nothing but a few minutes. It just requires you to actually sit still long enough to look backward before you keep moving forward. A simple way to start this rhythm if you've never done it before. Pick one fixed time each week. Sunday evening works well for a lot of people. And just ask yourself 3 questions. What actually went well this week? What do I wish had gone differently? And what is one thing I'll do differently next week because of it? That is the entire practice. It takes less time than scrolling through your phone for 5 minutes. And over a year, it adds up to 52 small corrections nobody else around you is making. Habit 3. Move while the fire is still. This is where almost everyone loses. You watch something like this. You feel it. You think, okay, I am going to change. And for about 48 hours, you are a different person. Then the feeling fades, life gets busy, and you are right back to where you started. There is a name for this, the gap between what you intend and what you actually do. And it happens because motivation has a shelf life. It is hot right now. It will not be hot in 3 days. This is exactly why so many people have a graveyard of half-started plans. The gym membership from January, the business idea from that one weekend they got excited, the book they were going to write. None of those failed because the idea was bad. They failed because the person waited for a calmer, more convenient moment to start, and that moment never came, because motivation does not wait around for you to be ready. So the rule is simple. When the feeling is strong, that is when you build the plan. Not, I'll figure it out later. Later, the fire's gone and you'll talk yourself out of it. Right now, while it is burning, that is when you write down the 3 things you are actually going to do this week. The person you are going to call. The habit you are going to start tomorrow morning. Lock it in before the feeling cools. It does not have to be a big plan. It just has to be a plan made now, while you still care, instead of a plan made later, when you've already talked yourself out of it. You've probably felt this yourself. You leave a great conversation or finish a great book, completely fired up, convinced this time is different. And if you do not act within the first day or 2, that fire quietly goes out. And a month later, you can barely remember what you were so excited about. That is not a character flaw. That is just how motivation works for every human being. The only real defense is speed, turning the feeling into a concrete action before it has time to fade. Habit 4. Give away what you are learning once you've got something. An idea, a lesson, a hard-won piece of experience. Do not sit on it. Share it not to look wise, not to perform generosity online. Because here is what actually happens when you teach something. It locks in for you twice as hard. And somewhere out there is a person who needed exactly the sentence you are sitting on. You might be one conversation away from being the reason someone else's your change is. People who hoard what they know stay small. People who give it away keep growing, because life has a strange way of giving more room to people who use what they have instead of hiding it. Think about the people who've actually helped you the most in your life. Chances are it was not someone reciting a textbook. It was someone who had actually been through something and was willing to hand you what they learned, without making you pay for it or earn it first. That is a rare thing to receive, and it is an even rarer thing to become. You can become that person for someone else, starting with the very next thing you learn. Habit 5. Get comfortable. Being patient with yourself here is one that does not get talked about enough. A lot of people quit on themselves too early. They try something for 2 weeks, it does not click yet, and they decide they are just not built for it. But almost nothing worth having works on a 2-week timeline. Think about anything that actually took shape over time. A skill, a relationship, a business, a body you are proud of. None of that came together in a straight line. It came together in seasons. There were slow stretches where nothing seemed to be happening, and then all at once things clicked. If you are in one of those slow stretches right now, that does not mean it is not working. It might just mean you are in the part nobody posts about. Give the process the same amount of patience you'd give someone else if they were doing exactly what you are doing. Most people are far harder on themselves than they'd ever be on a friend in the same position. Habit 6. Solve problems on paper, not just in your head when you are stuck on something. Get it out of your head and onto paper. Write the problem down plainly. Do not worry about sounding smart. Just name it. Then ask yourself 3 questions in this order. First, what can I actually do myself right now with what I already have? Most problems have at least a partial answer sitting right there, and skipping this step means you never build the muscle to solve your own problems. Second, is there something I could learn that would solve this? A video, a book, an article, something that could hand you an answer you do not currently have. Third, and only after trying the first 2, who could I ask? Not because asking is weak. Because asking too early, before you've tried anything yourself, means you never develop the strength that comes from wrestling with a problem on your own first. Do this consistently and you'll notice something. Problems that used to feel overwhelming start to feel like normal Tuesday tasks, not because life got easier, because you got better at taking things apart. Habit 7. Protect what you let. Into your mind, this last one is easy to overlook, but it quietly shapes everything else on this list. Whatever you feed your attention to all day becomes the raw material your mind works with. If you spend most of your hours consuming noise, arguments, outrage, other people's highlight reels, that is the material your thinking gets built from. It is hard to reflect clearly, act decisively, or stay patient with yourself when your mind is constantly being pulled in 10 directions by things that have nothing to do with your actual life. This does not mean cutting yourself off from the world. It means being a little more deliberate about what earns a place in your head. Ask yourself every so often, is what I am consuming right now making me sharper or just more distracted? Is it feeding the 6 habits we just went through, or quietly working against every one of them? Protect your attention the way you'd protect anything else valuable, because at the end of the day, your mind can only work with what you give it. Give it good material, and everything else on this list gets easier. Habit 8. Choose your surroundings on purpose. The people you spend the most time with and the environments you spend most of your hours in shape you far more than any single decision you make in isolation. It is easy to underestimate this because it happens slowly. Nobody changes overnight just from being around a certain group of people or a certain environment, but give it a year, and the drift is unmistakable. If you are surrounded by people who talk about problems without ever moving toward solutions, you'll find yourself doing the same thing without even noticing. If you are surrounded by people who treat setbacks as data and keep building anyway, that rubs off too. You do not have to cut people out of your life dramatically. You just have to be honest with yourself about which relationships and environments are quietly pulling you toward the habits we've talked about today, and which ones are pulling you away from them. This applies to more than just people. It applies to what you read, what you watch, what kind of content fills your feed every single day. All of it is an input, and inputs over enough time become outputs. Choose yours the way you'd choose ingredients for something you actually care about. Closing, so let us bring it together. Stop numbing yourself to your own life. Let things actually reach you. Build a real rhythm of looking back daily, weekly, monthly. Move while the motivation is hot. Do not wait for the feeling to fade. Give away what you learn, because that is what actually multiplies it. Be patient with your own timeline. Most growth happens in seasons, not straight lines. Get your problems out of your head and onto paper, where they are actually solvable, and protect what you let into your mind, because it is the raw material for every other habit on this list. None of this requires talent. It does not require luck. It requires you to actually pay attention to the life you are already living, instead of sleepwalking through it. Do this for the next 15 minutes, and then do it again tomorrow. That is it. That is the whole edge.